You're not lazy. You're not dirty. You're not unmotivated. That pile of papers? That drawer you haven't touched in years? It's not just clutter. It's a trauma response. If you've survived narcissist manipulation, you know how much chaos it creates, not just in your heart, but in your space. Every object you hold on to might seem ordinary, but under the surface, it's layered with meaning. Shame. Fear. Memory. Protection. Here's the truth that no one talks about: chronic clutter is often not about poor habits. It's about survival. It's the aftermath of walking on emotional eggshells. Every time they gaslit you, criticized you, made you question your worth, your nervous system had to find ways to cope. And sometimes that meant holding on to things, because letting go felt like danger. Because clearing space felt like losing control. Because you were too mentally, emotionally, physically drained to even try. What looks like disorganization is actually a map of trauma. Dr. Laura Brown describes it as trauma living in your environment. Your home becomes a mirror of the storm that's been raging inside. If this sounds like you, know this: you're not broken. You're responding exactly the way your body and mind were trained to. Comment "it's not just stuff" if you've ever looked at your space and felt like it was holding more than you could carry. Because before we even talk about organizing, we need to talk about compassion. This isn't just a decluttering video. This is a healing invitation. And we're going to take it, one breath, one drawer, one truth at a time. Up next, how even touching your things can bring back trauma, and what to do about it. It should be simple. Just sort your stuff. Donate a box. Clear out a drawer. But then, something happens. You pick up an old scarf, and suddenly your chest tightens. You open a dusty box, and feel like crying for no reason. That's not you being dramatic. That's not you being weak. That's your body remembering. Clutter after trauma isn't just stuff. It's a sensation. Dr. Laura Brown calls it stored emotional memory. Items can become triggers, silent, powerful messengers from your past. That mug might remind you of mornings filled with cold silence. That book? The one you never got to finish because you were too busy managing their emotions. That perfume bottle? A flashback to the one time they said you looked pretty, before tearing you down again. Decluttering brings you face to face with what your body tried to forget. That's why it feels overwhelming. The first step isn't to push through. It's to pause. Before you open a drawer, put one hand over your heart. Breathe. Remind yourself, I am safe now. I get to choose what stays. Comment "this one hit deep" if you've ever cried over something you couldn't explain. You're not too sensitive. You're aware. Awareness is the first step toward healing emotional trauma. Coming up, why buying more stuff sometimes feels like self-care, but might be hiding a deeper wound. You weren't given warmth, so you bought candles. You weren't given reassurance, so you bought another book, another dress, another version of comfort. If you've ever filled a cart because your heart felt empty, you're not shallow. You're human. After surviving narcissistic abuse, your nervous system doesn't just crave peace, it craves proof that you matter. And sometimes, stuff feels like that proof. A new throw blanket? Softness you never got. A haul of journals? A silent scream that says, I exist. Another order, another dopamine hit, because it feels like forward motion when everything inside you still feels stuck. Psychologist Dr. Gabor Mate explains in the Realm of Hungry Ghosts that when emotional needs are unmet, the brain often turns to substitutes. But no pile of cozy socks will ever soothe a nervous system still living in survival mode. And no amount of skincare will undo the shame they left behind. Comment "been there" if you've ever used shopping as self-soothing. Let's be clear, there's nothing wrong with loving beautiful things. But when things become your safety net, the clutter piles up faster than you can process. Try this instead. Before you click buy, ask, what do I actually need right now? The answer might be rest. Or a phone call. Or tears. That's what self-care after narcissistic abuse really means, giving yourself what they never did. Up next, why perfectionism keeps you frozen, and how letting go of the ideal can finally set you free. You walk into the room. You look at the mess. And your brain whispers, if I can't fix it all today, what's the point? This is perfectionism paralysis, the quiet lie that says healing only counts if it's neat, fast, and Instagram-worthy. But after narcissistic abuse, your brain isn't chasing aesthetics. It's chasing approval, safety, predictability. Because back then, making mistakes meant punishment. And doing things imperfectly? That was never safe. Now you find yourself frozen in front of the closet, the shelf, the pile. Not because you're lazy, but because your nervous system is bracing for criticism that may never come. Brené Brown says, perfectionism is not self-improvement. It's the belief that if we look perfect, we can avoid shame. So maybe you don't clean, because you can't do it right. You don't start, because the end doesn't feel guaranteed. But healing doesn't happen in grand gestures. It happens in micro-movements. A sock thrown away. A junk drawer opened. One decision. Comment progress over perfection if you've ever paused just because you felt you couldn't do it right. Reframe the win. Did you touch the thing? Did you breathe through the panic? Did you try? Then you moved. And that movement? That's emotional trauma healing in real time. Next, when clutter becomes your armor, let's talk about how it protects you, and how to gently loosen the shield. You walk into a cluttered room, and feel, weirdly safe. It's chaotic, yes. But it's your chaos. Your control. Your cocoon. And maybe that mess is the only thing that has never judged you. After narcissist manipulation, the outside world often feels unsafe. Unpredictable. Threatening. So your mind builds shields. And sometimes those shields are made of stuff. Dr. Craig Malkin calls it protective clutter, a way survivors subconsciously guard themselves from vulnerability because the clutter keeps people out. Keeps emotions buried. Keeps space full, so no one else can take it. Here's the truth, the mess was a masterpiece of protection. You built it. You survived with it. But now? You get to decide whether you still need it. Comment my clutter shield if you've ever felt safer with stuff around you than without it. We're not here to shame the shield. We're here to loosen it gently. Try this, pick one item. Ask, is this protecting me, or isolating me? If the answer is both, that's okay. Start with awareness. Not force. Because decluttering isn't about throwing everything away, it's about choosing what still serves you. Up next, when you're not sure what's yours, how narcissistic abuse blurs your sense of ownership, even over your own space. You pick something up. A shirt. A journal. A souvenir. And freeze. Wait, is this even mine? This is what happens after years of narcissist manipulation. You begin to lose track, not just of your voice, your preferences, your needs, but of your stuff. Maybe they mocked you for buying something. Maybe they told you what you could or couldn't keep. Maybe they acted like everything in the house was theirs, even the things that mattered to you. Psychotherapist Beverly Engel calls this ownership confusion, a trauma effect where survivors no longer trust themselves to decide what's theirs to value. And it runs deep. You hesitate before tossing a gift you hate. You hold on to things out of guilt, not joy. You wonder, what if they come back and ask for this? Comment this is mine if you've ever second-guessed throwing something out because of fear or guilt. Let's flip the script, pick one object. Anything. Say to yourself, this belongs to me. I get to choose what stays in my space. Because self-care after narcissistic abuse isn't just bubble baths. It's reclaiming what's yours. One shelf at a time. One drawer at a time. One choice at a time. Coming up, the scarcity wound, why letting go can feel unsafe, and how to shift from fear to trust. You hold on to things you don't need. Not because you want them, but because you're afraid. Afraid of needing it later. Afraid of having nothing. Afraid of losing, again. This is the scarcity wound. A deep belief, often born in toxic relationships, that there's not enough love, safety, stability, or even objects to go around. When someone weaponized resources against you, money, affection, access, you learn to cling. To save. To store. To hold tightly. Dr. Bonnie Zucker writes, trauma can create an internal narrative of lack. And that belief doesn't just vanish when the abuse ends. Comment fear of not enough if you've ever kept something just because letting go felt scary. Here's the truth, letting go isn't careless. It's courageous. You are not in that place of deprivation anymore. You can trust your future to give back what you release. Start with one item. Hold it. Breathe. Ask. Am I keeping this out of trust, or out of fear? If it's fear, thank it. Then let it go. Because emotional trauma healing means rewriting your story, from I'll never have enough to I am enough. Coming up next, a new kind of closure, how decluttering can become an act of emotional liberation. You pick up an item. You feel the weight, not just in your hand, but in your chest. It's not just a broken mug. It's the guilt of getting rid of something useful. It's the whisper in your head, what if you regret this? But here's the truth, letting go is not a loss. It's a liberation. After surviving narcissistic abuse, you're taught, explicitly or implicitly, that your worth is tied to how much you hold, how much you endure, how much you keep. So the clutter? It becomes a physical mirror of that message, I should hang on. I should carry more. I should be the one to absorb it. But what if you flipped that script? What if releasing an object was not a failure, but a declaration? A declaration that says, my space is sacred. My energy is valuable. My home reflects how I treat myself. Psychologist Dr. Susan David reminds us, discomfort is the price of admission to a meaningful life. And yes, letting go will feel uncomfortable at first. But it will also feel lighter. Comment space is self-worth if you've ever felt your room say something back to you. Here's a soft practice. Today, pick one thing. Just one. Hold it in your hand and say, this no longer serves who I am becoming. Then let it go. And breathe into the space that's left. Because every drawer you clear, every object you release, it isn't about minimalism. It's about healing. It's about proving to yourself, you don't have to carry everything to prove you've survived. You can let go. And still be whole. Up next, what if we made this sacred? Not just decluttering, but turning it into a ritual. Let's build your daily space healing habit. Decluttering isn't just about throwing things away. It's about tending to the parts of you that never felt safe to let go. After years of emotional trauma, your nervous system has been on high alert, always bracing, always scanning, always surviving. So what if decluttering could become more than a chore? What if it became a ritual of regulation? A sacred practice that whispers to your nervous system, we're safe now. Here's how. Step 1, choose one small space, your nightstand, your bathroom shelf, a corner of your desk. Make it sacred. Not special because it's perfect, special because it's yours. Step 2, light a candle. Or play music. Or wear something soft. Set the vibe to signal safety. This isn't punishment. This is peace. Step 3, hold each item. Ask, does this ground me, or guard me? There's no wrong answer. Just awareness. Step 4, when you let go of something, say this aloud, or quietly in your heart. I release this. I keep the lesson. I choose space. Repeat it. Make it a mantra. Let your nervous system anchor to the rhythm. Dr. Stephen Porges, creator of polyvagal theory, reminds us, safety isn't just absence of threat, it's presence of connection. Comment my ritual if you're ready to turn healing into habit. Decluttering doesn't have to be cold. It can be ceremonial. Soft. Slow. Sacred. You're not just making space in your home. You're making space in your system. For calm. For clarity. For choice. Up next, closure doesn't always come from them. Let's talk about how to give it to yourself. You've let go of books, clothes, boxes of things you forgot you had. But here's the deeper truth. This isn't just about decluttering your home. It's about reclaiming your power. After surviving narcissistic abuse, it's easy to wait for permission. To wait for someone to validate your healing. To apologize. To explain. To finally make it all make sense. But closure? It's not something they give you. It's something you choose. And every object you release, every drawer you organize, every breath you take in a calmer room, that is emotional trauma healing in real time. You don't need their sorry to start fresh. You don't need their absence to take up space. You don't need their validation to feel at home in your house, or in yourself. Comment I reclaim this if you've ever waited too long for someone else to free you. Let this video be your soft permission slip, to forgive yourself for the mess. To celebrate the progress. To keep choosing peace even when no one claps. Because healing isn't loud. It's not always visible. It often looks like folding laundry with more ease. Walking past a once cluttered shelf without flinching. Waking up without the weight of should. This is your space now. And more than that, this is your story now. Let it be soft. Let it be yours. Let it be enough. Until next time, remember, you don't have to decode them. You only need to trust your own clarity. Thank you for being here. Thank you for healing with me. Unmasking personality.